Imagine one day you buy an incredible cliffside house with picturesque views of the LA skyline. It's home, everything you've ever wanted. But then, while at work, your neighbor sets fire to the brush on his lawn and accidentally burns down your house, charring your livelihood. You would expect your neighbor to be held liable, right? And to receive compensation for the damages to allow you to rebuild. On the international level, however, with seas rising and droughts lengthening, it is all but on individual nations to pick up the pieces. So goes the basic idea of loss and damage, to have historic polluters pay for damages they have indirectly caused on vulnerable frontline communities. But it is far more than a payment. Since the early 1990s, small island nations have lobbied for new and additional funding to address climate-related loss, after both individual events and slow-onset, decades-long changes. The early UNFCCC, however, was focused on slowing emissions, not adapting to a changing planet. After years of slow progress, the world finally agreed to a new loss and damage fund in Egypt at COP27, to be further developed this year in Dubai. Challenges still remain, however, in mobilizing enough resources to truly minimize losses. Already, negotiations have promised to consider all funding avenues, even the private sector, but the UN goal of $100 billion remains far away. Meanwhile, multinational development banks have taken the lead. Many, including the Caribbean Development Bank, have called for a rework of international finance and rebuilt their grant policies to reduce or cancel debt after climate disasters. The U.S. is committed to avoiding any legal obligation and limiting where funding can be used. Vulnerable small island nations and civil society groups, including Global Justice Now, have called for climate reparations and rapid mobilization of funds solely from developed nations. To learn more about how organizations and nations are preparing for COP28, check out the special meeting on loss and damage at the 2023 New York Climate Week and the U.S.'s stance, both linked below. Loss and damage represents how global climate governance has matured, broadening beyond reducing emissions. Once an afterthought, it now represents an opportunity for developed nations to modernize their climate agendas. In Dubai, Western developed nations have the potential to take the lead and invest in a green, equitable, communal future. We will see if they take that bait.